What's up, everybody? This is Rob with the Freeze Aquariums. Have for you today the Hygger 2-in-1 Filtration Water Changer HG-985. So let's take a look at this. I had looked online a couple times at this and thought it was pretty cool. So when Hygger reached out to me on this, as well as the other two that you saw in this series, this is the third and final Hygger filter in that series. So what comes in the box is the filter with the suction cups already on it, a hose, and of course the filter media. So right now, right out of the box, quick disclaimer, as I mentioned, this is number 3 in the series of Hygger filters. They did send this to me so that I could show it to you, as well as do an unboxing, a review, and test it out. Let's take a look at this. We'll open it up. So that is the inside of the filter. There is your sponge. So your piece comes off. Now it exposes the sponge. Pushes right in. So that lines up with that. And that's how that goes. You'll see the way to put it in. There is the cutout that faces into the tank. This goes right into a slot, and now you have that. The pump is located way down here. So if you reach in and pull out on that, that exposes the pump. So with the pump, to clean it, you just pull off the bottom, and then your impeller is behind this, and there it is. Pull it out. That's your impeller. So at least with that removed, you can get like a bottle brush or a Q-tip, and you'll be able to get in there and clean out any of the excess debris. Just put your motor and impeller back in, your cap fits right in the groove like that. And then you take and you put back on your cover. Now if you'll notice, there are little feet that keeps it raised up off the bottom so that the water can flow up and into the pump housing. Okay, so as you can see, the little feet right there, like this, and sets in the bottom like so. So seeing that chamber, instead of using this, I'm thinking 3 things. First, and the simplest, bio balls. Just like the bio balls that I showed you that came with the Hygger 44 and the Hygger 52 filter, filters 1 and 2 in the Hygger series, or you know, your choice. Fill it. So number 2 is I have different types of foam that I use in my AquaClears. I do use some in my canisters, that I can actually use this as a template. And then it's probably about the same thickness, maybe a little bit thicker, and cut it, and then I can take that and I can put it down here. So now, not only do I have the fine filter, which is where it's going to rise up from and empty out the front here, it's going to filter it coming in. So kind of looking at that, you could do it that way, or number 3 is get yourself either the polyfill wadding. I use the polyfill roll, the sheets. I can cut that again using this as a template, cut it and make a sheet and stick it down in there. The polyfill you can probably stick down in there with no problem. Probably if you have some plant tools, you'll be able to pull it out. So those are 3 quick ways to hot rod this filter and make it just a little bit better, a little bit more efficient. Now to complete putting it together, that tube fits right in there. I'll kind of show you with it apart. So we know right here is the pump. It comes up in through here. It drops down into here and then sits on top of here where the water's coming in. There it is. I mean, pretty simplistic design. Pump, mechanical filtration, and some biological, carbon. A lot of us do not use carbon in our aquariums. The very few times you'll see it used is if you're trying to remove medications, tannins, organic compounds, or an odor. And there's probably a few other things I'm forgetting, but generally that's it. We don't use carbon predominantly in our tanks. As far as the real estate, I mean, if you're going to have plants like this or like that, you can simply hide it behind there. If you really don't care, you can just stick it in the middle of your tank and let it spill out. And that's where the water comes in. So if you plan on using it as a fry tank filter or a shrimp filter, I would definitely say, if that's your thought, get some polyfill or some filter media sheets, something, and cut it so that it kind of wraps around the bend. And then either take some zip strips or rubber bands, whatever you feel comfortable with, and then cover these up so that it'll still take on water, it'll still filter, again, more areas for the bacteria to colonize on. So if you have shrimp, they can crawl up and down that media and they can pick off what the filter is picking up, sucking up. Anything that's going to be tiny enough to get sucked up in there, definitely protect it with some sort of barricade. Now the pump on this is 60 gallons per hour, and they recommend this for a 10-gallon tank. Now a lot of times you may hear the conversation of filtering, at least 4 to 5 times an hour. GPH divided by the size of the tank will give you how many times it will turn over the tank, meaning how many times it's going to filter water through here. Now in this case, and the setup that they recommend up to 10 gallons, that's actually not bad. 60 gallons per hour, 6 times turnover. That's how many times again the water is going to go through. Now, because the pump is rated at 60 gallons does not necessarily mean that's what you're going to filter, because you've got a sponge, you're going to add stuff in here, you're going to put the the activated charcoal or carbon in here that you want. That's going to reduce it. But starting out at 6 times an hour, you can afford to put some stuff in here and still keep it well above that 4-time mark. So just keep that in mind. They recommend that the water level, which you can kind of see is even with this, 8 to 17.5 centimeters, 3.15 to 6.9 inches is where it should be to start, in that range. Now, putting it back together, you have the notch. Line the cord up and snap it down. And it sits in there just like that. So now you're all set to run. You suction cup it to your tank, and you fill it up. Of course, after you've rinsed it with tank water before putting it in your tank, they recommend that. The one, well, two features I thought that were actually cool is the first one, which we all love dearly, is water changes. Drag out your Python or whatever form of water change system you had, grab the hose with the siphon, drink some tank water, and then, you know, put it into the bucket. Get the little pump ones so that you're not drinking tank water, or the battery operated ones. This will make water changes on your smaller tank, your nano tanks, so easy. And I only know this because I just took it out of the box. I just opened it right in front of you guys and gals. Is this, they call it an outlet tube. With this, you pull it up so it comes out of the motor. Now the pump is just circulating the water in here. You have a bucket where you take your hose and you attach it like that, and you put it down into the bucket. Begin water change. That's simple. That was the one part that I was, you know, I thought was pretty good, especially, you know, for the tanks. Just turn that and do a water change. Now, the feature that I kind of like, especially for a smaller tank, is this little piece right here. This little piece fits right up in here. Push it in. Now, what Hygger says is that when the water comes through, it's going to deliver the water to the tank like a water ball. To me, it's creating a bell shape because the water is coming over the edge, and it's kind of creating a bell effect or a shower effect, kind of like an umbrella with the water pouring off of it. So now you turn this back towards the tank, put it back in, now it's flowing. Now that water is coming out, it's hitting the surface, it's agitating the surface. So with that, it's not going to come out of that anymore because we've taken the outlet tube out from where it's raising the water. So now, for some reason, excuse me, you don't want to use this feature, you know, scaring the fish, whatever. Just take this little piece and you stick it right in there, push it down, and now the outlet tube keeps it in place so that you don't lose it, unlike the little adjusting knobs on the back of the AQUARIUM filters that like to fall off down behind your tank that you can't get to anymore. So with that being said, the specs on this US standard is 110, 120, 60 hertz. UK is 220, 240, 50 hertz, 6-foot power cord, 3-watt pump motor, 60 gallons per hour, 220 liters per hour. Again, turning the tank over at least 6 times an hour. Again, once you put material in here, it will reduce it, but you have enough space above that you're still going to turn it over more than 4 times an hour, which is good. Recommended size tank, 10 gallons. So at least, you know, you turn the tank over just under 6 times an hour. I mean, if this was in there and I didn't have the filter or anything in there and just plugged it in and ran it, 60 gallons per hour. That's how much that pump is going to put out. So putting the media in there, even if you were to put, you know, biomaterial of your choice in here, you're still going to get over 4 times an hour, and that's the number that a lot of us shoot for. I prefer 5 or more. All right, so let's hook this up and take a look at it, which is something I normally don't do in my unboxings, but I figured, why not? Let's go check it out. All right, so I plugged it in, instant water. Now, the tank had some stuff floating, but in the few, well, probably the last few minutes that it's been running, it's actually clearing out this tank. So at any rate, here it is up and running. So now let's do a water change. I'm going to try to do this one-handed. So now if you're going to do a water change, you pick up the outlet tube, at which point it will stop running. And then you can hook this hose up. I have the hose hooked up to it right here. Now what you want to do is, and it's got to be up high enough so that you can push this down enough to drain water. And as you see, we're doing a water change. That fast, that simple, that easy. And it's, definitely pulling water. And for the time that it's been sitting in here while I was doing this video with you, it's actually clearing out some of the stuff. And I don't even have the active charcoal part in there. All right, so we're done doing the water change. We want to pull this up. I recommend pulling this all the way up until the cycle is broke so that you don't disconnect the hose and take a bath. And I would definitely suggest doing it, soaking this in hot water so that you can get it on and off easier. All right, so we're done with the water change. It's put back on and we're back to filtering our tank. You're getting oxygen mixing into the water. You're getting surface agitation as well as gas exchange. So now, the feature that I kind of thought was cool, and I only saw this in a still, was using our little water diverter to create what they call a belt. So with that, if you have it stored down in here, just pull this up until it shuts off, pull out your piece, and then you basically just stick it up there until it's snug. Push it down, you have your water ball. You're getting even more surface agitation, more gas exchange, and you're still getting oxygen into the water. And it literally looks like there's water running over a ball of some sort, meanwhile it's just that tiny plastic piece. So, if for some reason you don't want to use that, all you got to do is pull it out, drop it back in there, pick up your outlet bar, stick it back down, and you're back to filtering. There it is, everybody. The Hygger HG-985 2-in-1 filtration and water changer. What do you guys think? All in all, it's not bad. I mean, I could actually see it working. That was my 10-gallon puffer tank that I thought sprung a leak. Didn't seem to be wet just now, but I'll wait till the weather's nice and I can fill it up outside and leave it. But I just put water in it for the sake of the video, and I could see around the filter was actually clearing up, where the other particulates and stuff floating around were starting to lighten up and they were starting to settle. But around the filter, it was getting clear. So at least I know it works. Now, some people may think the water bell is a gimmick or gimmicky, or the filter's gimmicky. To each their own. I actually like it. Granted, real estate-wise, this way, it's big. And you got to see it in a 10-gallon, so you have an idea of what it will look like in your 10-gallon. Smaller tanks, same thing. It's real estate. You can get creative hiding it, especially if you're using a taller tank. If you want to utilize that water ball effect to create some sort of atmosphere in the tank just above it, that's options for you. You can get creative with this pump and do different things. Now, it's $25.99 on Amazon. Right now, there is a 5% discount code box to check off on. And it's in stock, so it's really not too bad. And with that, just a quick update. The filter, the other day, the HG-52 power head filter, I did say about leaving the power head up towards the surface. Some of mine I do run up top. It was brought to my attention, and asked why I said that. I was just glancing at something that was kind of standing out in the manual that was laying open in front of me, and the top was exposed inside. I'm thinking safety minded, too many years in the fire service. And there was something that, as I was talking, I glanced at, and it said, do not immerse switch for fear of electrocution or something. So that's all I saw while I was talking. I didn't look at the manual, I didn't read through it. So when I went to put it in the tank and put it down, I saw that opening. So, you can't put the power head down below the surface at any depth you need. So just to give you an update on that. Also, was mentioned about on the end of the power head about having like the little flap that you could turn it so that it shoots to the back or shoots down, so that you can change it as opposed to just changing the angle of the nozzle. So I brought that up to them as well. So hopefully they'll take it, take note of it and maybe design something. All it has to do is just be a piece of plastic with a duck fin that snaps over it, so that when you move the spout, you can just move that around. Something simple. So with that, folks, hope this gave you some ideas of some of the more economical price filters that are out there from Hygger, things that are going to fit your 0.5 gallon tank all the way up to 70 gallon tanks using the various filters that I showed you. As far as the 985, that little water belting is actually pretty cool, at least in my viewpoint. It's something different, something you don't see every day. The filter does work for the little bit that I was using it in doing this video, so I like it. It's not bad. And again, these are just economical filters. Again, I try to save you money, bring you ideas to help make your tank better, keep more money in your pocket or pocketbook, and just make your hobby that much more enjoyable. So with that, folks, this is Rob with the Freeze Aquariums. I'm out of here. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other. God bless. Peace.